Hi everyone, this is Scrappy Kathy, and I have a layout share, and there are 20 pages to share with you, and I can't believe I did that many myself. I always, when I'm in a team competition, I always seem to find ways to work efficiently, and I also let my desk get piled up to my eyeballs with mess. But and like this morning, I think I did 5 pages, just trying to push the team a little ahead of or do some catching up. I've got my labels here, and I'm sure I have more, but anyway, I'll find them when I go through all this stuff. So I'm going to run through these fairly quickly. And I'm going to be doing a separate, well, actually, no, I'm not. Aside from this layout, which was actually done before the Mind the Scrap Summer Challenge started, this was a design team layout for Bramble Fox. And I did it, it was kind of inspired by the whole color scheme and everything. The way I filtered the photos was inspired by this little clock and this little heart that came in the same set. And so I found flare that matched the blue and the fuchsia color, and kind of pulled some artsy kind of papers from a pad. And it was a very, very simple layout to do. There is a video on this one and a blog post on the Bramble Fox. It's bramblefox.co.uk. But there are a couple things about this. Everything in here was done with my my Scrap Backwards kit, which is made up of leftovers from older Mind the Scrap kits. And I did a kit reveal, and it's not gonna look like, well, I can't show you at all. I cannot bring it in there because this stack of layouts is too high. I'll show you at the end. But what I'm trying to do is kind of stay, but I've had quite a few questions about Scrap Backwards and kind of what it's all about. We've had a lot of new interest recently. And so I have, I've kind of done, I have an idea of going through a bunch of layouts that I used my kit for and telling you which ones I actually did work backwards and what inspired what and why the pages ended up the way they are. And I thought that would be a better explanation than just some theoreticals. So if you're not interested in Scrap Backwards, this is just a layout share. It gives you an idea of the process, especially for some of those that I don't have process videos for. So let's get, and I'm trying to pick up, I have several rolls of washi tape just running around, floating around the desk, and I thought I'd pick those up and get them out of the way altogether. And then the rest of it I'm just gonna push. Okay, so second thing that I tried this time was letter-sized pages. My British friends do A4. These are there, and I think those are just ½ an inch longer, and maybe a little skinnier. Anyway, these are 8.5 by 11s, and what I'm using is a smooth photo paper. When archivers went out of business, our archivers in Beaufort, Georgia, had some printer paper. They had a scanner and a printer. They had some printer paper that they were selling, so it was cheap, so I bought it. And it's wonderful paper, and I had bought some of the prints that they made with it, and it's great, but not with my printers. My printers, my printer ink kind of smears on it. So I'm using it as white cardstock, and it's great. I use it for all kinds of things besides printing. I'm not going to let a square inch of it go to waste. But anyway, this is a page that used a leftover from the previous week. And in this case, I did not go backwards from anything. I just, well, maybe I did. I had this striped piece of paper, and it was exactly 11 inches long because I'd cut an inch off the end of it. And so I was able to put it on here, and I thought, okay, what photos am I going to use? So I went looking at my photos to find 2, because that was the rule this week. We had to use 2 or more photos. And the colors here determined my choice of this photo, because that sunflower yellow is kind of in there, and there's some red colors around in there. It's just a really nice photo of a little kiosk that was outside an empanada cafe in A Coruña, Spain. And so I found another photo from there of of me with the cruise ship and the marina back in the background. I may have scrapped this more than once. So I'm going to put that off to the side here. I'm going to move these over a little bit so that then I have room for the 12 by 12s. This one, absolutely, this choice of photos and these embellishments were chosen because of this background paper. This is, to me, a celestial, outer spacey looking kind of thing. So I picked photos of us getting ready to go up in that thing called the North Star. And I picked the rocket ship, kind of cut it in half, and in all of the other embellishments, there's nothing red. It's all kind of muted pinks and golds and stuff. So I added a couple little red perspectives, picked a red and white flare, and kind of made it all go. And I love that. I love this page. I used an opposite corner design, and I probably have 3 or 4 in this batch of layouts where I did something like that. So I think there is a video. That's one of the around the world videos. Let me pull this over here so that gives me space. Here's another letter size. It's of Adam and Vicky Booton and myself and Vicky's husband Rich on the ship. Just a simple little page. Life is better when you're laughing. This one, I know that it started with this kind of black background with the bright florals on it, and that led me to this orange. I can't tell you, well, I know that Adam had printed these 2 photos, so I did have these in my little stand, and he sent those to me a while back. And so once I had pulled these out, I went through the photos to see what colors would match, and what I had 2 photos of. I've done this so that his elbow is sticking out over the seam there. So that I did go backwards on this. And then, you know, you kind of make some choices going backwards, and then you go forwards looking for other things. I looked at my Bramble Fox goodies that I got at the Dottie About Flair retreat or crop, and I had this little tube of paint and paintbrush. This one is a crazy one. I had this piece of paper which is a very, it's a kind of piece of paper that I probably would look at it and say, I have no idea what I would ever do with that, and I would never buy it. But it came in the kit, and I think it's pretty, but I still had no idea what to do with it. So I had this strip of pink paper, and I thought, you know, I could probably kind of tone down those black and white stripes with that pink, and then I could maybe do something around with these flowers to make them a little more casual and a little bit less kind of oppressively vintagey looking kind of thing. Because to me, some vintage is lovely, but for me, some vintage just makes me feel like coughing because there's dust around. And I hate to say that because I know I'm going to offend a lot of you who just love the look, but it's hard for me to use, let me put it that way. So again, I looked for my photos. Whenever you see these glossy photos, you know, I didn't print them. Adam did. So I looked through the photos and I thought, okay, these are two photos that relate. I don't think they have anything to do with these vintagey looking flowers, but let's have some fun trying to use all kinds of unexpected stuff. So I pulled ephemera that makes no sense. I used a couple of these tags, then covered them up with something to do with traveling, and that's like a wood piece right there. This is a foam piece. I just kind of picked travel-y things, and I actually, and I tied in some of the colors. I actually like how it turned out, even though I don't think anything on there was ever intended to be used as I've used it. And that's okay. This one, I absolutely love. This one is not from my Scrap Backwards kit. This one I did because I wanted to scrap these two pictures of Johnny, and I ran across in my kind of loose, non-kitted pattern paper stash, I found 2 sheets, I think this is, 2 or 3 maybe, of a collection called Secrets of the Sea by Bella Boulevard. And it's similar to Under the Sea that Johnny had used when he scrapbooked a photo that I had taken of him. So I did this one for Johnny. The whole video was for Johnny. I did the little whale up here, and I emulated his enamel dots looking like bubbles. I used some nautical flares and lots of Spiegelmom scrap sequins, and I needed florals, so I just kind of curled that up and tucked it in. So this one, I found the papers. It reminded me of Johnny. That led me to print these 2 photos. This is the original, and this one is one that I filtered to pick up a lot of the same colors that are in the collection. Here's another. I did this one first. These 2 pages use the same scrap lift, and this is the original. There's a circle with florals right up in the circle. It's backed with a floral paper in the back and a strip of 3 photos. So when I did this one, I did the floral paper around the back, did the florals around the circle. I needed 2 pictures, so these pictures were taken a couple of days apart. This was in Louisville visiting Katie and Barrett, who were with their mom. We were at a mall, and we found this pair of goofy glasses, so we each put them on. And this was a pink hibiscus that had burst into bloom while we were on that trip. And when we got back, it was covered, that particular plant was covered with flowers. And the thing that was notable about that was that that plant had nearly died. In fact, we bought it from the distressed counter, and it had aphids so bad it gave aphids to everything else I had in my garden. And so I spent a lot of time dealing with that. And then eventually it came out of its misery and it rewarded us with those blooms. So that's the first one. The second one actually has me and Katie too. Me here and Katie here. And you can see she's kind of grown up from that photo. And I did this one for Craft Plus, which was featuring your handwriting. Their challenge this month is about handwriting. So I did some handwriting around the doodle circle. And I have a picture of Katie, who is apprenticing as a hairstylist and makeup artist. And I have some before and after photos of a haircut and styling that she gave me. So same lift, and instead of putting the flowers around the circle, I put them in the corners. And this was another paper I had no idea I was going to use. It's Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Indigo Garden. I think that's what it is. And I just fussy cut. It was all across the bottom of a page. So I fussy cut this piece out, and then this other piece I put up here. And I kind of like both of those. So I'm going to, and I forget what challenges they're for. I could be looking on the back, but I kind of don't want to take a whole lot of time. Mind the Scrap Summer. And again, when I had the lift originally to do, and what first inspired me was I found that floral paper to go around the outside of my light green. And then I took completely different flowers, fussy cut them from another scrap that I had left in that in my kit. And then, you know, matched up some pink bramble fox and Dottie About Flair. This one, as soon as I cut this apart and put it up here. I originally did it on white paper. I kind of tried to figure out what I was going to do. I was actually going to put a single photo in the center of this with maybe a small one attached to it. I had no idea what photos I was going to use. When I looked at this looked like one of those headdresses that you get at the Renaissance fair. And I just scrapped, a few months ago, I scrapped some photos of Katie and her friends at a Renaissance fair. So it made me think of Katie, and her boss at the salon took this photo of her when she had styled her hair, trying out some new products that she was going to be recommending to her customers. And then on a totally separate day and not associated with that session, I had the before and after photos that she had taken when she was doing my hair. So I kind of thought of those, putting those on. I almost hated to ruin this photo by putting these pictures of me, but in the end, I really like the story it tells. And I started to name this Everyday Beauty, but I just left it at Everyday because she does these kinds of transformations for people every day. And she is this beautiful every day, even when her hair is pulled back in a ponytail and she's got her glasses on. She's just a really sweet, wonderful girl. Okay, on to Liverpool. This is another stop in the world tour, and I had not printed these pictures, but I had them in mind, or I had the Liverpool trip in mind because I had seen some photos from that trip that were scrapped by somebody else. And I pulled a bunch of colorful scraps. The kit itself, most of the kit, has a lot of these kind of vintagey looking papers that are, you know, not my first choice for style or whatever. So I thought for Liverpool I wanted bright colors, so I went through and found scraps. And then I pulled from, I had a Sweet Rush sticker book, but the florals weren't big enough. So I actually went to my ephemera, my Sweet Rush ephemera, and pulled these. So these were not in the kit. But these papers caused me to pull those, but I had no idea. I didn't pull the car until after I had chosen the photos. So then I went through my computer looking at photos and found those. And I don't know why I thought they would go with this mix of colors. There's not much in there that does, but you put that many colors on a page and something's going to stick and match somewhere in your photo. For me, the rubber sole part of the Beatles bar sign seems to fit in with all the rest of this palette. So I badly stamped Liverpool using the stamps that came in the kit and had some fun with that. I had no idea what I was going to do with this little thing because it's kind of too precious-y looking, but I wrote on it, and once you write on it, it kind of makes it casual, and I like these tickets. Love them. This is a crazy one. This one, I had this photo on my desk to scrap for months, and I thought, okay, I need 2 photos. So I went and found this one. And then I came back and thought, okay, where can I find paper and embellishments that go with the green desk? So I will tell you that I was inspired by, I took my inspiration from the green desk. And the fact that that lime green desktop, which you can see right here, and this basket and the chair Ava is sitting in, or in there, I knew that I wanted some lime green in there. And I found this paper, which was great, had no lime green. So I just found some lime green and cut some hearts and cut hearts out of all kinds of other papers and just added hearts. I found this lime green title. And Remember Today just is a perfect title because this is what John's side of the desk looks like today, and this is what it used to look like, and I miss that. I miss lots of things about that. So I have sunflowers there for John, and I have a baby squirrel there for Ava. This one is surprisingly one of my favorites. If you know me at all, you know that this is not my color palette. And it's not my, again, not necessarily my style. So it was for Mixed Media Mayhem, and I decided to use my inks to color these flowers. These flowers were much more subtly colored. And I decided to add some color right in here. So I did all that with inks. I even did the butterfly with inks. And so I was working on 2, through 2 or 3 or 4 different challenges. But I picked the paper because it was thick and I could do mixed media on it. And I knew immediately that I was going to color those flowers, and that's before I had any idea what photo. And I thought, okay, that's a very vintagey kind of, I don't know, old-timey the kind of the negative side of vintagey look. So what do I have photos of that's old? Oh, okay, why not Warwick Castle? So that's where that's how I got to those photos. And I had picked these floral ephemera and this butterfly. I went back and found this butterfly that had been fussy cut from something on that other page. And I kind of cobbled it together and used this slightly, maybe not the same style title from JD3D, which is from, it's a branch of Hey Little Magpie. But it says wander to discover, and we were wandering when we discovered this castle, and, you know, got up. It just makes really nice photo, and it made a nice page. We didn't get to go inside the castle, but you can kind of see there's a guy up top there, so I love it. And there's this backside, and I still have that in my kit, and I have no idea what to do with this. None whatsoever. I like the gray wood grain, and I might cut a piece of that and toss the rest or something. I don't know. This one, I knew I had this sheet in my kit, and I may even have another piece of it. No, I don't. I fussy cut this out of the other piece. And my friend, Gwen Towell, who you hear me talk about, the one who sends me all the purple stuff, she did a challenge team layout for Dottie About Flair. And she used this paper. And the challenge for Dottie About Flair was, it's called Focus, and it's all about cameras and photography. So and she had a really amazing photo with some really long shadows being cast at that time of the day. So I remembered these night photos. And so I'll have to say that her layout inspired my choice of the photos, and her usage of this paper inspired the use of this. The kind of design and the use of all the Bramble Fox bits kind of came after I had the basic pieces in there. And I love this page. Again, this was a hard paper for me to use, not because I don't like circles with florals, but this style of flower wasn't, you know, with the blue leaves kind of looked, I don't know, a little dull or something. And somehow, when put in combination with all the rest of this, it works. I have no idea why. I wish I could tell you. Now, this one was one I did without a video. I think there are videos for everything I've showed you so far. This one I did very quickly without a video. I had taken, these flowers were in bloom. The Japanese climbing lily and the lily of the Nile were in bloom when I got back from my trip. I was afraid I might miss them because they weren't blooming when I left. And I took these two photos, and then I took a portrait photo with stage lighting in that's one of the choices in my iPhone.
You okay to go at 4?
Excuse me just a second. Go where at 4?
The movie tick was for 4:30.
I didn't know anything about
Bullet Train.
You asked me if I wanted to go, and I'd like to go, but I never saw a time. And
Can you leave at 4?
I can leave at 4.
Okay.
I'll finish this.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to a movie at 4, guys. I'm going to go see Bullet Train. And so anyway, I took these photos and I thought it would be nice to scrap them together, especially doing them in different sizes and kind of formatted differently. So I had fun with this, and this was a piece of paper. I love lined paper, and I love when it has flowers, and none of these flowers are the colors of these flowers that I have here, but it somehow all works. And I, got to use some of the floral ephemera and even a floral flare with bees around. So like I said, this probably took 15 minutes. And these were in my computer. It was looking at this paper that made me decide to do those floral photos. And then I picked the embellishments afterwards. So here I was guided by the paper, not the embellishments. This one is a crazy one. I did this just, I don't know, maybe last night, yesterday, I think. It is I saw in Scrap-A-Sketch that this was sketch number 38, and Scrappy Adam did the example he was the design team example provider, and he scrapped photos of Lisa, Helen, and me on the day that we were all four in Liverpool. We called ourselves the Fab Four. And I loved his little list of things down here, and I just loved the way he did it. So as soon as I saw it, I wanted to do this page. I had no idea what I was going to do. I looked at photos from that day. So the challenge and Adam's layout inspired me to look for photos from that day. And I found these, and I had all of these scraps on my desk from another project. Just all of them. They were piled up kind of like I have things piled up over here now. In fact, lots of those same things. And so when I looked at the pile of stuff, that said I had a lot of green stuff. So that led me to these green photos, these photos that have a lot of green. This is Mick Jagger, and this is me and Lisa standing in the same place. I'd like you to think that we were there together, but, think what you will. So again, this is another one I did for Craft Plus because I had a lot of craft lying around. I had a large sheet of craft that I had cut a few things from, and I kind of tore bits and found everything green I had. I even found some craft colored word strips. So I love this page. I love the journaling around the outside, telling the story of seeing this. Helen sent me this, the post that the artist did. You've probably heard this story a million times. And he was on Facebook, so I messaged him on Messenger asking where this mural was in Liverpool the day before we went. And he graciously responded. It's actually on the side of a pub called Shenanigans. And so on our way out of Liverpool, after Helen had already gone back to her hotel, Adam, Lisa, and I found it. And so we stopped, and Adam took 1 million photos, or 30. So I love this page. And I had this obscure yellow "You Are Here" vellum thing that was kind of scrunched up in the bottom of the holder that I'm holding the kit in. So that's how that came about. This was I will tell you here that I looked at these embellishments, almost everything you see on this page. This one I had fussy cut from that blue paper previously, and then ended up not using it on that layout. But I looked at those things and they immediately reminded me of my grandmother. It's like the little powder compact that she had looked very much like this. And she wore a cameo locket. And she had a lot of things in her, particularly her bathroom and her bedroom, that were kind of in that shape with a lot of the filigree trim and just the kind of precious-y kind of stuff. And so I would have guessed that I might never have a use for those. And I was looking at this one. This is the bottom of this one. I cut them apart. And when I looked at that, it reminded me of the mirrors at a hair salon. Not the hair salon where Katie works, which is where these photos were taken, but it reminded me of a hair salon. And so that led me to pictures of the salon dog. And this is Pippa, the salon dog. And Pippa comes out, she's got a different color collar every day, and her mom paints her toenails to match the collar. So today she had a yellow collar and she had yellow toenails. So I looked for some yellow texture paste, and my real yellow texture paste had dried up. So the best I could do was this neon yellow texture paste. And I pushed it through a Vicky Bouton stencil on this kind of blackish brown background. And I picked the blackish brown background because I thought this gold embellishment would look good on it. And then I figured I could do the title in gold. And then I started picking up other colors because there's nothing but kind of gray and brown and that yellow there. So I kind of had a little bit of fun with this, and I did it, I think, late at night. I put some journaling here saying, she saunters out, nails painted yellow to match her collar. She liked my new haircut, so I got Pippa kisses. And she was the sweetest dog. And then there's this one. This one I love. I kind of did it a little bit as a happy birthday page for Adam. This is the Scrap Squad lift for this week, and it's by Josephine Vanderhoven, otherwise known as Scrappy Cat Josephine. And I had these hexagon frames that were part of a Bramble Fox advent calendar, and I printed the photos to fit. Her layout, which was done for Cocoa Vanilla, brought me in the mind of Cocoa Vanilla, and I knew I had Cocoa Vanilla stuff. I had some fussy cut pieces and some ephemera and so forth. So I pulled all the Cocoa Vanilla from my kit, and I filtered the photos to somewhat, they were much brighter than this, and I toned them down so that they wouldn't so starkly contrast with the muted colors in the Cocoa Vanilla. So this one has a video that's gone live today. So if you'd like some details, you can see that. This is Bramble Fox. This is Bramble Fox. The frames are Bramble Fox, and I just had a lot of fun with that. I love it. The mixed media came out just the way I wanted it. This is a crazy page. It's about bathroom decor. It's a service station bathroom in Oxford, England. When Adam and I were driving back from the dock where the cruise ship had been driving back to Manchester where he lived. And we stopped and did all kinds of sightseeing. And one of the places that we stopped to sightsee was not a service station. It just happened that when I got in there and the wallpaper was all these sunflowers, and you can see the hand dryer hanging on that wall, and then this giant sunflower as a backdrop behind the sinks. I mean, that was just, you had to take a picture, right? John would have absolutely loved it. Was a sunflower nut. And I just kind of, again, threw this together in about 5 minutes. I will say that I did not go backwards from, well, maybe a little bit. I found in my kit these, actually, I brought into my kit some older, or some a newer kit, my July kit, because I have my June one that's going to arrive tomorrow. And so I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and throw the July one in there with these others, because it had a little bit different mix of colors. And it had this little guy and this little guy in a, let's see, it's up here somewhere and I'm not seeing it. It's in this set of little foam things from Let's Go by Simple Stories. And so that sightseeing thing, it just kind of reminded me that I wanted to use a photo from the trip. And I can't believe I actually scrapped these photos. I thought they would stay in my photo album and not get scrapped, but I couldn't not scrap them. So and I had this scrap of the polka dotted paper, and it went nicely over the green, and I had some enamel dots that worked in the kit, actually. So this one started with this paper again, and the sticker book of Vicki Boutin stickers. And I knew I was looking for a paper that had flowers, and I found this paper, and it just somehow reminded me of the road that we took that was so beautiful. It was the road to Downton Abbey, otherwise known as Highclere Castle. But so I filtered these two photos to really bring out the greens, and the road ended up being purple here, so that led to my choice of title. So this one is fun, and I doodled a road and have the sign where it says closed for a private tour. And then I just kind of added some little doodling. This is from the Vicki Boutin sticker sheet. I did not do much with this paper. I just let it be on its own, and I love that. And this is another one. I think that one was made without a video, as was the little bathroom one, as was this one. This one I had all these rolls of washi tape from the Let's Go collection, and I just kind of laid them out so that they kind of spread out. And I filtered photos to kind of pick up some colors in there. So the washi tape is what inspired this photo choice. I filtered the photos so they'd pick up some of these rusty golds and oranges in there. It actually looks like fall scenery, but it was not. It was in June. And these flowers are just really pretty and purple, but filtered, they end up being the same bright hot pink that's there. And this was Winchester Cathedral, and I don't know how many of you grew up in the 60s and sang that song. I think it was the New Vaudeville something singers or something like that, and they sang a song called Winchester Cathedral, you're bringing me down. and you don't want me to sing any more than that. And we had passed through Winchester on the way down to Southampton, and I said, is that where Winchester Cathedral is? And Adam said, yes, how do you know Winchester Cathedral? I said, from the song. And he said, what song? So on the way back, we stopped at Winchester Cathedral. We stopped in downtown Winchester and got some really good views. The access road to it was closed, but we could stand in town. And this was a parking garage right here where I took this photo, and where I took actually all three, but this one was a close-up of it. And so it was kind of pretty, but you get to see the spires there. And so it's kind of, and I titled that one Doing All the Things because, you know, I stopped to see Winchester Cathedral. I sang that song. It's one of those quote-unquote catchy tunes. This was another quick one. This polka dot paper actually inspired the filter, this filter on this photo, and I filtered it with another filter, and when I printed it, I realized this one didn't come out as colorful as it looked on my screen, but I used it anyway, and then I just, again, had a bunch of scraps, and this came from the sticker book, the Vicky Booten sticker book, and Sweet Rush, and I used Sweet Rush. These are just definitely Sweet Rush colors. So this was a fun page about we had decorated her room, kind of cleaned up and fixed up her room, and got her these hanging mesh holders for all of her stuffed animals. So she was thrilled, and she's holding one. She's just so freaking cute. So that was 2013, 9 years ago. Go figure. And this was the last one I pushed in 2 minutes before the deadline. And again, I had this kind of oval embellishment, and this frame, and all these kind of old-fashioned looking things. And that reminded me that I had just yesterday taken a photo of a gardenia bush near the pool, and I floated the gardenia in water, which makes the whole kitchen smell good. And so I just assembled a page. This fence, this is vellum overlay there. All of it all the embellishments look like my grandmother. So I documented a page about a flower that was my grandmother grew in her gardens, and she used to put them in water and put them around the house. Great air center, if you will. And so I just made a simple little page about that I had done something my grandmother did, and then all of this seemed to make sense. So that's my collection, and you kind of heard how I went backwards. I'm not really, like I don't force myself to do things backward. At this point, if I decide I'm going to use, just as an example, this is in the kit. And so if I were to look at this, I would say, okay, I need to get some photos of the kids when they were young, maybe a trip to the zoo, maybe something like that. And so then I'd go hunting for that. And then I've got all the things on here to make a page. But the challenge to me is to pull some of the other things up, like maybe some of these more old-fashioned looking things, and see if you can add the color or do something that, that kind of ties them all together. So that's kind of what that's all about. And I will tell you, my biggest challenge in the world is going to be this. There is nothing on here that is my style or look or anything. And I think there's a pack of ephemera that goes with that. And there are a couple papers It's Boho Baby by Simple Stories. Just not my thing. So that one's going to be tough. And I may actually pull together out of there like a mini kit and give it away as a prize over at Scrap Backwards. So stay tuned. We'll see how that works out. We'll see if anyone's interested in that, if anyone else likes it. So thank you for watching. I've got to go get ready for the movie. Bye.